This podcast is for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to Season 2 of Fool Me Twice. There's an accessibility transcript that can be found at our website, foolmetwicepod.com.
Beware, my friend, trouble roads are to come. Tall grass on snakes fall not for their charm. Lift your head, forget the dance in your pride. Sometimes in life we need to be fooled twice.
Episode 7, Really Bad Debt. Listen to this description of a De Beers TV ad I found on YouTube from the 90s. And yes, it looks just as cheesy as it sounds.
A black and white scene of a terrace with an ocean view cuts to shadows cast by a couple playing on the beach. We see a woman's feet playing in the surf, the sun peeks through the clouds, and her shadow twirls again, and disappears. A very close-up shot of a man's eyes, and suddenly his shadow appears next to hers in the sand. He takes her hand, we follow their shadows to a house on the beach. It seems like a vacation rental. Inside, their shadows race up the stairs and land in front of a billowing white curtain. The man's close-up eyes look down, and then we see a diamond ring being placed on her disembodied ghost finger by his own, also shadowy hand. The diamond gleams and sparkles and somehow remains on the finger of a shadow, and the man's close-up eyes look satisfied about something. We see real human feet as the woman stands up on tippy-toes, and then her bejeweled shadow hand reaches for his shadow chin, and their shadows kiss. A man's voice says to us, "A diamond engagement ring. How else could 2 months' salary last forever?" And to drive the point home, he tells us, "A diamond is forever." Underneath the tagline, the familiar name, De Beers.
Chapter 1, Blood Diamonds.
Do you know the movie Blood Diamond? That's a great movie that gives a lot of information about, the story of conflict diamonds. And I feel that, any kind of goods or commodity that creates wealth in a country creates conflict. Whether it be coffee or gold or whatever it might be, and it was diamonds in Africa. I won't go into all the story of Blood Diamond, but it was, it was really back in the early 80s. To curb the illicit trade of blood diamonds, the Kimberley process was introduced. All of the ethical diamond traders have to have a Kimberley process certificate to be able to buy and trade rough. That's the raw diamond that comes out of the earth. So all of my trading partners have a Kimberley process certification. However, it's impossible for me to guarantee with 100% conviction that every single diamond that I sell is blood-free, is a blood-free diamond. And that's because it's impossible to, with 100% conviction, certify the origin of a diamond. Because diamonds are 100% crystallized carbon, and they are exactly the same world over. There is no chemical testing you can do on a diamond to prove its origin. Unlike, say, a sapphire or a ruby or an emerald, there are chemical compositions of those stones that actually you can locate the origin of the diamond. They have different chemical compositions depending on where they come from, where diamonds are the same world over. So there's no way to guarantee where the diamond has come from or when it was mined.
In the early 2000s, the United Nations General Assembly recognized that there had long been a huge problem in the diamond-producing countries of Africa. The intensely lucrative business of diamond mining, as well as the instability of large swaths of the African continent, meant that diamonds were being co-opted as a resource to fund conflicts that were in violation of human rights. Diamonds were being traded for guns under the leadership of warlords like Charles Taylor and various rebel groups, whose goals were to overthrow governments and seize power. Taylor initiated the First Liberian Civil War, and after battling with Prince Johnson's rebel group, Independent National Patriotic Front of Liberia, gained control of a large proportion of the country. He then initiated and supported various other civil wars, including the Sierra Leone Civil War and the Second Liberian Civil War. Diamonds also funded conflict in Angola, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Ivory Coast, and the Central African Republic. Diamonds intensify civil wars by financing militaries and rebel militias. Armed groups often use force to seize or control diamond wealth, with rival groups also fighting to control diamond-rich territory. These conflicts are embedded with shocking human rights abuses, from rape to the use of child soldiers. Conflict related to diamonds have resulted in the deaths of almost 4 million people. In 2000, the World Diamond Congress adopted a resolution to block the sales of diamonds that were directly funding conflict in parts of Africa. This was crystallized into the Kimberley Process Certification Scheme, which required governments to certify that shipments of rough diamonds were conflict-free. It did have some success, but it requires the monitoring and cooperation of so many governments and systems that it's been far from completely successful. As recently as 2009, Zimbabwe was exposed by Human Rights Watch. According to reports, the Mugabe government was said to be using the army and police to kill and abuse Zimbabweans in an effort to control the diamond fields. Then, in 2013, in the Central African Republic, a civil war broke out over diamond resources. Unfortunately, the Kimberley Process only places a ban on diamonds that directly finance rebel militias in war-torn countries. When diamond miners are killed or physically harmed by their own governments or by security guards working for mining companies, the Kimberley Process almost never takes action. It still certifies these diamonds as being conflict-free. Here's more from the diamond miner.
So I've done a few trips now. I got to a stage where we had our own factory and we had our own workers and we had our own machines and we had our own things. At this time, right, I got introduced to the top diamond guy in India. Like, there was no one above this guy. I mean, to get to this guy, I had to walk past soldiers. So this guy turns around and says to me, right, this is when I'm on the high, right? I'm thinking I'm the cool guy here. He says to me, he says, what are you worth, right? So I says, nothing or anywhere close to whatever you're worth, right? He says, whatever you're worth, put everything you've got into gold. Now, 2007, price of gold was $98. And I was thinking, oh my God, that's more than the price of an ounce of marijuana, right? Because when I was in Amsterdam, an ounce there was $140. An ounce of gold, it was $98. And I was thinking, that's crazy. Why would I want to spend $98 on an ounce of gold? I can't carry that. I can't wrap that around my balls and fly about with that. So I didn't want to tell him. I says, okay, that's a good. Thanks for telling me that information. I'll keep that on board. Going forward to the future, I should have listened to that guy, because that $98 an ounce shot up to $1,700 an ounce in the space of a year and a half. This guy, top diamond guy in India, telling me you should put all your stuff into gold, not thinking to ask him, can you tell me more about it? I was just talking to him about diamonds. So the money was sitting at the gold when I was digging for the diamonds. So throughout the whole year, we did a few more runs. It got so big, it got to a stage where it was going out of control. One wrong move, anything can happen. And plus, there was times when some of the guys, they had like these AK-47 guns out there. It got to a time where you were scared because word was getting out. We're digging up, and the chief is getting this, and they got that, and all the other villagers around there were finding out. So I was getting a bit scary, to be honest with you. Yeah, well, there was a time when even I was thinking, like, let's call it a day. Just takes one bad seed. It was getting to a stage where we were thinking, like, let's get a couple of more guys around here, with guns just to hold, just in case, we get hijacked. The first year, I got to say, was scary. After the first 6 months, actually. After that, it got scary. We hired a couple of guys with guns out there as well. We had a place set up in Dubai for selling diamonds in Dubai then. A nice place, a good venue. So anything that we had cut and polished, we put into jewellery settings and so on. It's fabulous. It was absolutely something else. Going forward a bit, I actually had a lot of vision back then. I says, well, how far we've come and how easy this money has come. Something can happen. And I was trying to tell my friend, right, there's a time when we should stop. Now, what happened was, around 2009, Heathrow Airport got its first X-ray machine. So where you stood in the airport and they scanned you with the X-ray machine. So that's when we couldn't do the thing around the balls anymore, because that comes up in an X-ray. So I was starting to bring them to the UK, you see. I was bringing them down to London, smuggling them back out again to different parts of Europe. Had it not been for the X-ray machines, I think we would have continued. What I would do, so when the money started coming in, so 40% we gave back to the village in monetary fund. So whatever we got, I gave 40% back to that village, to the chief. I says, listen, it wouldn't be right for me to have this much because this is too much, and I'm having fun doing it. So it doesn't feel right for me to be taking all this. And you know something, when you have money coming in from something like this, it'll come into your left hand and leave your right faster than you can see. As in when you're working and that money comes in your left hand, it's very hard for it to get to your right hand because you're watching it. Whereas, you know, when it came in that fast, I thought, well, because at the end of the day, had these people not carried me out of that place, I wouldn't be alive. You know, so end of the day, I had a different perspective on things after that.
Morning, Sally. I asked the bank already. They said I can exchange money and use on this Friday.
Tiffany, I had kind of expected that you would have some sort of excuse today. I hadn't expected you to make the payment today. You really scare me. I'm so afraid that I've lost all my money, my years and years of hard work.
No excuse, 'cause I told you I need to come and ask the procedure.
No, you told me I would have all the money back by the 24th of December. That is tomorrow.
'Cause this is my first time for sold the China house, I don't know the procedure. If I cheat you, no need told you on Friday.
I trusted you that you would return the money by the 24th of December. That's why I gave you the extra time.
'Cause the RMB have limited quota to exchange.
I will have to check in with the police tomorrow because they knew the deadline was the 24th.
Yes, I know. If you think I cheat you, you ask Mr. Chen to arrest me then. I'm really talk the truth to you. I promise you before you help me, I will settle this. I can do it.
How many times have I trusted you and you have let me down?
I know. So how can I say? Just want to solve the problem. You know me.
I'm just so disappointed. I was really hoping to have a happy Christmas this year.
Yes, I really can be pay you. Don't know how can say you trust me.
This has been a hard year. I was really hoping it would end with a good result. Can you pay anything this week until Friday to prove to me that you can pay anything at all?
Sorry, I know. I can try but don't know can or not. 'Cause I lent many friends before. But I will try. Maybe try below 100,000.
I pay an amount every day this week and complete the payment by Friday. The outstanding now is 1.57 million.
I tell you open, I haven't more money to pay you on every day, so I need sell this and get the money to pay you back, 'cause I don't want go in again. But I can try to ask someone who can help.
Yes, please ask someone to help. This is a problem that you have created for yourself, not my problem.
Yes, I try.
My problem is the loss of a huge amount of money. Either you pay or you suffer the consequences. I'm getting tired of being so forgiving.
Yes, I know. I can get the money on Friday, then I transfer you all on Friday in BOC. No need wait.
Okay, this is your last chance, Tiffany. Please try and show your commitment by making some payment to me during this week and the balance by Friday.
Okay, Sally, I will do it. And I will update you if I can ask someone to help, to transfer some to you first.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hope you have a happy Christmas. I know Christmas is all foreigners' big festival. So sorry to disturb your holiday mood.
I can tell you all my family has been waiting for today and praying that you will make the payment.
Oh no, words can say only sorry again. But trust me, I remember you helped me. I'm sure can pay you back on this Friday.
We will all be waiting until Friday then. I will send you my BOC account shortly.
Yes, thank you.
Chapter 2. Moral Dilemma.
At some point in time, probably about a month after the theft, over that course of the month, she had been continuing to pay and pay and pay. I was hearing reports of other victims of diamond thefts in Hong Kong by a woman. I'm thinking, it's probably her. I had this real feeling of like, yes, of course I want to be paid, but she's probably out there stealing from other people to pay me. And then I was hearing these stories of other people getting targeted by this woman. And in the meantime, the police are calling me because I had a case open with them. And with the information that I'd got, I probably could have given that to them and they would have arrested her and put her back in jail. But that would have meant no more money for me because it's a lot of money to me. I can't afford to lose that money. It would have sent my business under. Or do I let the police lock her up and she can't target anybody else? So difficult. And there was another time when I had a diamond dealer that came in here and he said I could set a trap for her. Because everyone was trying to help me as well. All my dealers and my Israeli friends were like, let's go and get her. Let's get your money back. We'll find the diamond. Rah, rah, rah. All these plots and plans to try and, help me out. I was feeling horrendous. This is really bad. I'm now becoming part of this scheme. But at the same time, I was down millions of dollars. I wanted my money back as well. I wasn't feeling great about myself. So it was a huge moral dilemma for me. I was thinking, I know that she's out there stealing from other people, probably to pay me with what she's getting out of these other crimes. So it really wasn't sitting well with me. At the time, I was doing a program for relationships, and this program was all about authenticity and being honest in your life and how, lies and deceit just lead to problems in your life. And I'm thinking, oh my God, here I am, dealing with this, knowing that this woman's out there stealing from people and being really, a monster. She was doing horrendous things. And it really didn't sit well with me ethically and morally, knowing that she was out there. But at the same time, I didn't want to be the victim of losing all this money. And I actually told Tiffany about this course that I was doing. I told her, when our problems were solved and when she'd paid me back the money, I wanted to introduce her to this course as well so that, maybe she could live her life more honestly and authentically and feel free. And I'm assuming that she was feeling huge pressure and strain, but I don't know, maybe not. Maybe she was just this monster that got off on doing this sort of thing. I didn't know her motives, which was so odd. It was so strange that she was paying me this money, that we were pretending to be friends, or maybe she really did think that I was her friend, that I'm there trying to solve her problems for her. And I genuinely did actually care for her. I thought, this is a woman who's got probably terrible mental issues. She's doing horrendous things and causing people lots of problems. Maybe I can help her. And I was, probably naive to think that I could maybe help her.
There's something happening here. Sally and Tiffany are both between a rock and a hard place. They both kind of need the grace of the other in order to be able to get what they each need from this situation. They both chose to play in the same industry, albeit in very different ways. Tiffany subjected Sally to a cycle of owing money in order to get herself out of the same cycle. Here's Sally's assistant.
Mind you, she was still keeping in touch with us. She wasn't avoiding our calls. She wasn't avoiding our messages. She was engaging with us the entire time. So, we thought, okay, let's just hold out some hope here. From there, if we look from October 24th onwards, she actually did settle around 1.2 million Hong Kong dollars. Not a small amount again. Of course, this total amount is after we discovered that she was actually indeed a thief and that she had actually done this kind of deception to other businesses, other suppliers. other industries as well. It wasn't just the diamond industry. I understand that. I think she had done it for maybe real estate, even cars. Anyways, before we realized that she was a thief, we went through a roller coaster of events. First, starting with her supposedly flying to Canada, being with her family there, celebrating her grandma's 70th. And all the while, she's making $50,000 transfers, $100,000 transfers, $20,000, $30,000, etc. Not small amounts. We thought, okay, she has to come back to Hong Kong. So she went so far as to send us her itinerary details that she had booked the day after she arrived in Canada. So, at this point, we're still holding on to a shred of hope that maybe she's an okay person. But then, things started going awry. Various suspicious things occurred, such as suddenly the day before she was supposed to leave to come to Hong Kong, she said she got hospitalized from food poisoning. She sent us pictures where she had an IV drip, and she had even the oxygen tank, the thing that goes into your nose. She sent us these pictures, and she said, "I'm so sorry. I got food poisoning at my grandma's party last night and I'm in the hospital. The reception's really bad here, but I'm still going to arrange some bank transfers." So she was still arranging bank transfers while she was supposedly in the hospital. And then, so she sent us a new itinerary because she said she had rebooked her flights. Even her flights were business class. So, in line with somebody who is wealthy and traveling. And then I think these are all things that we found out were later completely fabricated. And we only found this out after maybe a few days down the line when we actually called up the travel agency and acted as though we were her assistant. We asked a couple questions and he said, "Yeah, she keeps changing the flights, but she's never actually booked the flights. So I don't know what's going on." And we said, "Oh my gosh, she's just been playing us all along." Anyway, she supposedly came back to Hong Kong, and then she even had said something about how she had to go over to Macau because that's where one of her friends' bank accounts was located and they would be able to execute the bigger transfer for us, blah, blah, blah. Basically, everything just ended up being a lie. And at this point, Sally had returned. We had filled her in on everything. And I think at the Macau stage, we still thought maybe she was legitimate because she was still executing these bigger transfers. And then she had said, "I'm going to make this one large transfer and then it'll settle everything." And I think Sally had set a deadline, like, you have to be back in Hong Kong, all of this settled by 5 p.m. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the police and make a report. And she had said, "Oh, don't worry. Like, worst case scenario, I'll get a helicopter over." So these kind of comments where we're like, okay, it's feasible, I guess, if she is a crazy rich Asian, but otherwise, wow. I mean, just such an imagination. It was really pathological, obviously. And meanwhile, I also want to stress, she's still engaging with us regularly. She's never shy to pick up the phone, never shy to respond in messages. All things that, if it's a thief, you would think they would just drop off the face of the earth. She could have totally just dropped off the face of the earth. It would have been so much easier for her. So then we're starting to think, like, is she a charitable thief? Or does she like the attention? Or, what's going on? And eventually, I think we started doing the kind of research through our own channels, looking online, trying to search her name, her HKID. We were able to find out that she was on a bankruptcy list with her HKID number. Then we found out that, all the tickets she had supposedly booked were never booked. They were just pending and never confirmed. And that's when we started just asking her, like, "You're obviously playing us, right? So what's the end game?" And she's, no, I'm not, I'm paying you. I want to settle this. I don't want to hurt your small business and all these things. But, obviously it was a lie. And then we found out that she had other court cases against her, that she had actually gone to jail before for something similar. And I think that's when we realized that most likely we're not going to recoup all the money. But, why not just keep in touch with her and play friendly so that maybe we can recoup as much as possible. And I think she made a total of, around 28 transfers, totaling 1.259 million Hong Kong dollars. Also no small amount. So, it's still puzzling. What was she doing in the background? Was she robbing from Peter to pay Paul? It didn't seem like she actually paid all this kind of money to her previous people that she deceived. So, I don't know. It's very strange.
Doctors Scott and Shiloh explain the psychology of persuasion.
So of the 7 factors of the psychology of persuasion, the first one is reciprocity. So reciprocity works in the way in which you feel the need to repay someone a favor or a debt or maybe just a compliment. So an example would be your child gets an invite to a birthday party from one of their classmates. And maybe when your child's birthday rolls around, you were just planning on having family and friends. But because that child invited your child, you now feel like you need to repay that and invite them to the party. So someone who is a con artist that uses this idea of reciprocity to their advantage, what they want to do to be successful is to be the first to give the compliment or to give the first thing in the relationship and make sure it's personalized and make sure it's unexpected or that it looks that way, because that's how they're very successful at getting the person to then either say yes to something or get them invested in the relationship with this idea of reciprocity. The second element is scarcity. And essentially, this is the idea that people just want something more if it's limited or if it's one of a kind or unique. So this could be when we're ordering something online and it says, there's only 6 of these left, hurry up. You're more likely to add it to the basket if you think it's not going to be there tomorrow. It's an old sales tactic, essentially. The third idea in this list of things that persuade humans is authority. And individuals have the idea and the pull to follow the lead of experts. So somebody in a uniform can go a long way. Somebody wearing a lab coat represents authority, and we think that we should listen to them. If we see degrees on a wall, we are more likely to pay attention to the advice that that person is giving us. There's been tons of research done in all kinds of elements of business with authority. And it can be as easy as the receptionist that answers the front desk might say, oh, you're interested in closing escrow on your house. Let me send you over to James, who has 20 years of experience in closing escrows. And just because she changes her verbiage on the phone, that makes commitments and sales fly through the roof than if she had just said, great, let me put you through to James. So it's interesting because in a lot of business world, it can be ethical. It's totally fine to do that. And it costs nothing. But authority goes a long way. If you know there's some expertise behind the person that you're talking to, we feel at ease, we put our guard down, and we want to go along with what they have to say.
So there are 4 others. Well, originally there were 6. So there were 3, and then one was added in 2016. But another one is consistency. And basically the consistency principle states that individuals will feel compelled to comply with the request if they perceive that it is consistent with what they have already publicly committed themselves to in your presence. So it's like that actually is understanding of someone who doesn't have these deficits in the brain structure of like, oh, I committed in front of my church congregation to follow through with this. I now have a commitment. I have to hold myself accountable, and I'm being held accountable to this social contract I have. Then we also have the next one is social proof. Individuals are more likely to say yes to your request if you give them proof or evidence that everyone around them, people just like them, have been saying yes to. I mean, that's basic advertising is, look, everybody's using this great new detergent that takes out every stain. You should use it too. That's a basic underlying of advertising principles. So the next one, of course, is liking. You know, if you like and know the requester, that always works to your advantage. It's a simple way to make things happen, is to uncover similarities. And I remember the first time I bought a new car years ago, moving to Los Angeles, and I was such a rube, or I thought of myself as sort of a deep South redneck. And I got the biggest flim-flam from a car salesman. And even being young and relatively dumb, going, that guy's full of shit. You don't have anything in common with me. And you're just like basically buttering me up like we are best friends. But I mean, even though I didn't fall for it, and there's a reason I didn't fall for it, most people generally tend to. I fall for other things, but I didn't fall for that one. And then our last one is going to be the unity principle. And Dr. Cialdini proposed this in 2016. And it's that the more that we identify ourselves with others, the more we are influenced by others. So the more you identify with your clan, with your tribe, the more likely you are to take on and not question those beliefs. And a con artist is really good at taking advantage of that. I'm just like you. You should trust me. We have all of this in common. We are the same person, basically. And there's no one more convincing of that than someone who scores high on narcissism, because the narcissist wants you to be just like them.
Here's a story about a first-hand experience with diamonds and their value.
Hi friends, my name is Kelly. I'm a white, autistic, disabled, chronically ill, queer, trans person living on Ghana land. I'm a performance artist and a craftsperson by trade, but currently I'm on hiatus from an arts degree to focus on my health. So I guess from a much younger age than most, I've understood that diamonds were kind of a big old scam. I had a friend who worked for a big brand jewelry store when we were like 17 or 18, making the rings they sold, and he had told us all what they got paid, what the rings were at their base cost, and that we shouldn't ever bother to buy diamonds because they were marked up by like maybe 1,000%, and we wouldn't ever be able to sell them for what we bought them for. At the time, I was monogamous and still intending to get married at some point, and a few years later did end up engaged, so bought a ring. It ended poorly, and I found myself then looking to sell the ring I had bought, for which I was offered precisely what my teen friend had warned me. I really had bought something marked up by over 1,000%. So a ring I had bought for $350 ended up being offered only $30 for, and I decided not to sell it because it felt like I could surely do something with it that felt better. I still have it somewhere, and I wonder if it would be worth even less now. Years later, I ended up spending some time busking during the summer between starting a new job. One day in the days before Christmas, a woman came up and put a big old diamond ring in my basket. And I was surprised and asked her what had happened. It turned out when she went to sell her engagement ring too, she'd been offered a similar amount to me, but her ring had cost well over $1,200. So she'd been offered $30 for a $1,200 ring. Wild. There are a number of other great marriage traditions that have existed for longer in all cultures. That said, if someone were still wanting to get a ring as a gift for a proposal but get actual value for money, they could try getting a ring crafted by like an independent artist rather than buying a mass-produced diamond, plus the added bonus of supporting an artist.
Chapter 3. These rocks don't lose their shape. Have you ever listened to the lyrics of Marilyn Monroe's song, Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend? a kiss may be grand, but it won't pay the rental on your humble flat. He's your guy when stocks are high, but beware when they start to descend. At a glance, this song is an anthem to superficial diamond-digging women everywhere. Madonna took this concept and ran with it in her 1984 song Material Girl. But look a little deeper, and you'll see that these are directly subversive lyrics, warning women that unless they ask for diamonds as collateral, they could easily be left high and dry. It's very important to look at the timing and context of when this song came out. In 1949, it was first performed by Carol Channing, and then was redone by Marilyn in 1952. This was the era when a woman's earning power was significantly less than a man's. Indeed, for doing the same work as the other men at the advertising agency, Frances Geraghty was paid only a fraction of the salary of her counterparts. The idea was that a woman might work for a while, but ultimately she would find a man and marry, and that would be the end of her working life. The reason this song is so subversive for the time is that women were often told that they should be good, save themselves for marriage, and that was the only way to ensure they would be supported and live a good life. The song says to women, hey, go live your life, but be careful, because men are not reliable. You need to take out your own insurance policy, and that policy is diamonds. The other part of this song that's worth pulling apart is the part that tells us men may not hold their value, but diamonds do. Now, this works great as a metaphor, but is also essential propaganda from the ad agency. And I'll let you in on a little secret that the ad agency and De Beers and anyone in the world of diamonds definitely doesn't want you to know. Diamonds don't hold their value. In a 1982 article in The Atlantic called Have You Ever Tried to Sell a Diamond?, Edward J. Epstein exposed the diamond industry's fabrication of an idea that diamonds must never be resold. In order for people to believe that diamonds hold their value, diamond prices must be prevented from fluctuating, like it would be perfectly logical for them to do, and like other raw materials do. There was an even greater incentive to control the supply of diamonds coming onto the market, which is very tightly managed by way of just a handful of sites per year, in which diamond buyers are sold a predetermined amount of rough diamonds based on the demand in the market that year. Epstein, in his article, tells us, except for those few stones that have been destroyed, every diamond that has been found and cut into a jewel still exists today, and is literally in the public's hands. Some 100 million women wear diamonds, while millions of others keep them in safe deposit boxes, or strong boxes as family heirlooms. If a significant proportion of the public tried to sell their diamonds, the price of diamonds would plummet. Enter NWIA. In 1953, the ad agency said, in our opinion, all diamonds are in safe hands only when widely dispersed and held by individuals as cherished possessions, valued far above their market price. As far as De Beers and NWIA were concerned, Epstein says safe hands belong to women who had been psychologically conditioned never to sell their diamonds. Selling diamonds at a profit, even over a long time, is pretty much impossible. In Epstein's article, he details an experiment conducted in 1970 by a UK consumer magazine. They bought 2 gem-quality diamonds at about a half carat each, which cost £400. 9 years later, when trying to resell the diamonds, the highest bid they got, adjusted for inflation, was £167. They tried again, with a bigger diamond this time, over just 1 year. They bought a 1.42 carat diamond for £745, and next year the highest offer for it was $568. The problem is, partially, the markup. If diamond dealers bought back diamonds, they would have to buy them back at wholesale prices. And that would reveal the sometimes 200% markup that some high-end diamond dealers place on the stones, plus the setting. Tiffany, the jeweler, not our friend in this story, has a policy against buying back diamonds for this reason. It is possible to find dealers willing to buy back diamonds, and Epstein found one in New York. He says the waiting room is usually populated with elderly women, and discovered that they usually can't buy a diamond back for any more than 90% of the wholesale value. The president of the diamond dealership confesses that a half-carat diamond ring, which might have sold for $2,000 at a jewelry store, might only fetch $600 in resale value. This seems like extremely solid evidence that people in the diamond industry know of a diamond's inability to resell at retail cost. The thing that's surprising, and gives everyone the sense that something dodgy has gone down, is that Diamond Selection bought the stone at about half the market value, and supposedly paid Tiffany in cash without giving her a receipt. On top of that, they didn't seem to care to verify the origin of the diamond. Now, we know Tiffany to be someone for whom the truth is a flexible thing, so any of these facts could also just not be true. If the cost price of the diamond Tiffany purchased, and you can't see it but I'm using air quotes when I say purchased, was something under 2 million Hong Kong dollars, then knowing what we know now about the diamond trade, it seems that it would be perfectly reasonable to expect a dealership to buy it for well under market value. Chapter 4. The payments are still coming in.
Hi, Tiffany. I received an email from Mr. Chan today. I told him that I've received 100,000 yesterday and expect another 100,000 today and then the balance by this Friday. After the 100,000 yesterday, the balance is now 1.47 million.
Yes, should be settled before on this Friday. I will ask the bank on today and reconfirm the payment. I will transfer the payment to you on today around 6 p.m. after I'm back from Shenzhen.
Okay, sure. Please update me when done.
Sure. Happy New Year. Once we can settle all the payment, we can celebrate.
Thanks, Tiffany. Same to you. I plan to keep my promise to you. Once all this financial problem is sorted for me, I would like to help you with your life.
Yep. Thank you, Sally.
I want to help you make your new decade a much better one for you.
You are really a good person. I need learn from you.
Christmas came and went and she hadn't paid me the full sum of money. I was trying to play at her emotions, saying to her that, it's a bad Christmas, like I've been the victim of multi-million-dollar fraud that you've committed. And she was, telling me how sorry she was and that she felt really sorry. And she, telling me that she thought that I was a good person and that she'd try and make this up to me. And I said, well, Tiffany, I hope that you do. And I hope that when this problem is over for me, that I can help you. Like, I genuinely do want to help you. And I hope that I can make you a better person and help you live a better life. And I was in Australia over Christmas. I got back to Hong Kong in mid-January. And that's when I started the second part of my course. And I told her about it. I was talking to her. We're talking about things, like I'd call her almost like a friend. I was almost suckered into feeling like she was my friend. And I was telling her, like I'm doing this course and it's really great. And every time I called her, like she's kind of a bit giggly, nervous giggly on the phone, like, I'm so sorry, Sally, I really wanted to try and make this up to you. And every time she talked, she'd really speak really fast. It was really kind of rushed. And yes, I'm going to get the money from my friend and pay you this amount next week. And I'm like, okay, Tiffany, look, I said, I don't want you to lie to me anymore. If you can't pay it, I'd rather you just tell me that you can't pay it rather than telling me that you're going to be paying me and then just disappoint me. Because I like to trust people and I believe things that people tell me. So, if you can't pay me or if you can't pay me the whole amount, just tell me when you can and how much to expect, because that will make me feel better. And then at that point in time, she did. So, she'd tell me, I promised to pay $300,000 this week. I'm only going to be able to pay 50. And I said, okay, that's fine. 50 is better than nothing. Please pay me 50, but, keep on paying me every week. So that's going to be the rule from now on. Pay me what you can, but pay it by week. That's what happened for the month of January. And, I'd always be following up. Before she said that she was going to pay me, I'd send her a text message saying, Tiffany, you promised that you'd pay me $50,000 tomorrow. Is it coming? Yes, it's coming. I've got the money. It's going to be deposited tomorrow. And then it would come. I'm like, okay, good. She's standing by her word. And at this point in time, I think we'd got back 2.1 million. And, I thought maybe there's a chance that she will pay all of this back. And then with my course that I was doing, the course is 3 days long and then an evening. And you're encouraged to bring a friend along to the evening. And I told her that the graduation of my program is going to be on this Tuesday evening, and I invited her to come. And she said, yes. And I'm like, wow, okay. I said, Tiffany, maybe this program could change your life, you're obviously in a lot of trouble. I'm sure you're looking at ways to, get out of the trouble that you've caused. And she said, well, I'll pay you the whole amount that I have due, which is, I think at that point it was like $1.4 million. I'll pay you everything by I think it was like she promised by this Saturday or Sunday, and then we can meet on the Tuesday evening. And I'm like, amazing, this sounds great. And she told me that she was going to pay me this large sum because she was getting a big windfall out of something. And I'm like, okay, good. Thinking it back in the mind, I hope it's not one of my friends who might be the victim of another diamond crime that she's going to commit. I actually even said to her that when she'd paid me the debt that she had to me, that I would pay for her to go and do this course so that she could maybe get something out of it for herself. So there was definitely genuine feelings on my side, worrying about her and wanting her to be a better person. And it's unfathomable, like, how someone can do such a terrible thing. Anyway, on the weekend, I was doing the course over the weekend, and I said, Tiffany is still coming on the Tuesday. And I said, if you can't pay the full sum that you said that you would, I still want you to come. I said, I don't want you to feel like if you can't pay it, it's an excuse not to come, because I really feel like this course could be good for you. And she said, yes, okay, yes, I'm going to be paying the money, and yes, I'll come on the Tuesday. So on the Monday, the money was supposed to come. I sent her a message on the Monday morning saying, Tiffany, are you making the payment today? I didn't get a reply, which was quite unusual because usually I'd get a reply from her within half an hour. There was no reply to the message. I left it that day and I thought, okay, well, obviously the money's not coming. And I tried to call her. There was no answer. On the Tuesday, I got nothing, no response from her. I tried to call her again before I went for the Tuesday evening of my course. No reply. I thought, okay, well, maybe she was intimidated by me asking to meet with her. Maybe it was too much. And I thought maybe I pushed her too far. And then on the Wednesday, I didn't hear anything from her again, and I sent her a message saying, are you okay? And I got no reply.
Make sure you subscribe so that you can catch the next episode when something will happen that might make you want to sit down, or lie down if you're already sitting. It's a big one. Talk to you then. This podcast was created, researched, and edited by Jules Hannaford. And we couldn't have done it without Sally Ryder and everyone else who helped us to tell this story. We're infinitely grateful to our experts, Drs. Scott and Shiloh, as well as Roger Grimes, and those who lent us their voices, Kinney Orbarlow, Sonia DeAndrea, and Matt Schnuth. The theme song is sung by Angel Meyerhoff, and the sound design is by Shade Furlong. Please consider going to our Patreon and supporting us with a once-off or monthly contribution. I'm Zara Hannaford, and I wrote this thing, and I've been your host.